Seemingly every offseason, amid the trades, signings, and buyouts, there's always a select few that end up making the headlines for another reason entirely, meaning that players who know their playing time is up usually break the news shortly before the new season begins. Pecorine and Kevin Miller have already made noise early on by concluding their careers, but as the pattern goes, there will most certainly be more deciding to hang up the skates for good here shortly. Therefore, I'm going to go over some select names that have probably played their last NHL game. And with that, here are 6 NHL players that are most likely going to retire. Shortly after the Montreal Canadiens went on a surprising run last postseason, it quickly became apparent that Habs captain Shea Weber had paid a hefty price physically, while leading his team to the finals, as Weber, according to Mark Berger, had suffered foot, ankle, knee, and thumb injuries over the course of last season. I was amazed at how he played, Berger says. He was one of our top players. Shea is a man of few words and isn't the type to complain about the pain of his injuries. Berger was also adamant that Weber won't be suiting up for Montreal at all next season, and entertained the possibility that the captain could be forced to call it quits here before long considering. And really, despite not being able to secure Lord Stanley last postseason, Weber will have nothing to hang his head about as far as his career is concerned, as the defenseman, after 16 seasons spent in the league, was able to play over 1,000 games, 1,038, record 224 goals, and 365 assists, while spending time playing for the Nashville Predators and Montreal Canadiens. Not only has he mesmerized spectators and frightened opponents with his nearly record-breaking shot, but has also demonstrated an innate ability to lead by example. Weber, who is known as a man of few words, had the reputation of being able to convey messages the team needed to hear, as players knew when he spoke it mattered. Even though this situation looks grim for the Canadiens moving forward, Berger has been confident that the league will grant team permission to put Weber's contract on injury reserve that's valued at $7.8 million AAV. Even though he wasn't able to raise the Stanley Cup, the 7-time All-Star with several gold medals to his name easily gave his all to his team, and that's always something to be proud of. Another highly accomplished player, in Patrick Marlow, made history last season as he was able to shatter Gordie Howe's previous record of all-time games played upon playing number 1768. Known as Mr. Shark, Marlow, who has been able to spend over 20 seasons playing for San Jose, has cemented his legacy of being one of, if not the best, to ever wear a Sharks uniform. After setting countless franchise records, securing a pair of Olympic gold medals, and representing his club in all-star fashion on multiple occasions, Marlow has tried his hand with first Toronto and then with Pittsburgh at trying to secure the ultimate trophy. But after making himself readily available for the taking last deadline, despite only having a contract valued at $700,000, no team seemed to be eager for Marlow's services. After recording 9 points in 56 games played last season, at 41 years of age, it's becoming a possibility that Marlow, after playing an impressive 1,779 regular season games and 195 postseason contests, will be deciding to move on into the next chapter of his life here shortly. Despite this though, number 12, who is 4th among active NHL players in points with 1,197, will be leaving behind a lasting legacy in San Jose as being one of the most class acts to have ever played league-wide. Recently, Capitals GM McClellan told the media that goaltender Craig Anderson was expected to announce his retirement sometime this offseason. Coming into the league in 2001, Anderson, who was originally drafted by Chicago, played for a handful of teams during his 18-season career in Florida, Colorado, Ottawa, and Washington. After maturing in net while playing for various minor league teams, Anderson was able to find a position in Florida as a backup behind Thomas Vokoun. After a few seasons in the Sunshine State, with a combined 24, 14, and 7 record, a .928 overall save percentage, Anderson then signed with Colorado, where he was given his first taste of a starter role, a role in which number 31 took in stride, as he, during the 2009-2010 season, after starting 71 games and posting a .917 save percentage, was able to finish within the top 10 in Hart and Vezina voting. Following a rough start to the next season, Anderson found himself in Ottawa. Unknowingly though, this team in which he spent his most time playing for would later leave the biggest sentimental print on his career that he'd ever seen. After having his best season during the 2012-13 campaign, statistically with a 1.69 goals against average and a .941 save percentage, Anderson would years later lead his team to the Eastern Conference Finals of 2017. And it was during this time that Anderson was not only playing for the Cup, but also for his wife Nicole, who at the time was battling a rare form form of throat cancer. This bout of courage allowed for Andy to receive his first and only NHL award in the Masterton Trophy. After signing a one-year deal with Washington and finishing out his career there, Anderson will be retiring with a .929 save percentage and a 2.36 goals against average, which is pretty impressive all by itself. Speaking of Patrick Marlow, another longtime staple within the Sharks organization was Jumbo Joe Thornton. After coming in from Boston, Thornton quickly cemented his reputation as being one of the best passers league-wide. After notching a combined total of 125 points in the 2005-2006 season with Boston and San Jose, the forward became the first and only player to capture the Art Ross and Hart trophies while playing for two different teams. His back-to-back seasons of 90-plus assists, also beginning in 2005-2006, put him in elite company with Mario Lemieux and Wayne Gretzky, as they, alongside Thornton, are the only players in league history to accomplish such a feat. Thornton, who went on to play over a decade in the Bay Area, holds the franchise record for the most assists with 745 and points per game with 1.01. But similarly to Marlow, here most recently, Thornton decided to try his luck at potentially adding a Stanley Cup to his resume in Toronto. After playing a season with the club and notching 20 points in 44 games played, at 42 years of age, it's beginning to look like the end of the road here for number 97, who has battled lingering knee issues. Even still, Thornton, who holds the most points still as an active player with 1,529, will definitely go down as one of the best passers that the game has ever seen. At 44 years of age, Zadinochara currently stands out as the oldest player league-wide. The defenseman, who was drafted 25 years ago, demonstrated to the world that massive height in hockey, if used the right way, can be a difference maker. As a 2009 Norris recipient, with his long reach and physical presence, was regarded in his prime as one of the best that the NHL's blue line had to offer. Aside from 3 50-point seasons under his belt, the longtime captain was a key contributor in the Bruins hoisting their first Stanley Cup since 1972. Similarly to Thornton, though, despite being a franchise staple for well over a decade, Big Z ended up representing a different team last season, while taking on a lesser role in the nation's capital on a cost-effective deal alongside Nick Jensen. Chara recorded 10 points in 55 games played as a Capital, but after over 23 years spent in the NHL and becoming the 5th defenseman last April to play 1,600 games, it's become obvious that number 33 is slowing down. After the Capitals' early exit last playoffs, Caps GM Brian McClellan voiced some uncertainty around Chara's potential return, while saying, "I think he's uncertain on what he wants to do," he says. Whether we've already witnessed Big Z's last NHL game or not, one thing's for certain, he'll always be fondly remembered as one of a kind. While many may see this one as a head-scratcher, I feel like so many circumstances have lined up here all at one time, which really point to the possibility of Tuukka's retirement. As a netminder who is playing with injuries in the postseason this year, is going to undergo hip surgery, which will have him sidelined at least until January of next year. This paired with the fact that he's now a UFA with no apparent contract talks being made at the moment, it's really looking like the B could try and move on from their franchise tendy, with a glaring need in net to meet, as up-and-comer Jeremy Swayman is going to need some quality help with Rask gone. Don Sweeney is going to be looking most likely for some top-tier talent this free agency. Another twist to the equation is that Rask has been adamant that it's either the Bruins or retirement for him, while saying to The Athletic, quote, "I'm not going to play for anyone else other than the Bruins." Therefore, taking all this into account, with the Stanley Cup, Vezina, and Jennings trophies all to his name, Rask would have no reason to feel unaccomplished if he were to ultimately decide on retirement.